you think sometimes it goes a little bit over the top? Are you just playing the sensationalist media at their own game?
Well, thank you. Certainly it's not the only way to do it, but if we have a look at the Greenpeace history and the history of the environmental movement, I think it's not a surprise for you that I say that the contribution of Greenpeace and others has been quite important and valuable to sit where we are now and to discuss problems that otherwise wouldn't become that far publicly known and attended. I sometimes wonder if we are dramatically enough. I think, well, the first Greenpeace actions weren't intended to be dramatical. Those were very few people doing things they thought would be very important, going, for example, into a region where an atomic bomb is planned to be released.
Can I just mention that the visiting card you gave to me actually has a picture of lots of naked bodies on it.
Yeah, that's true.
There you are.
That's true. That was a Swiss action on an Arctic glacier, on a glacier, and it was an artist. I don't even remember his name. That's not a very good proof. But anyway, of course, this is rather a category of images, striking images for people who are normally not very interested in scientific or environmental details. But to come back to my point, I think there is a dramatic underestimation of what the science is saying regarding climate change. The alarmistic signals, if you want to, are coming nowadays from scientists. If you take the IPCC report 2 years ago, I don't know how you could formulate it more dramatically, what's going on the level of climate change. So nowadays it's not so the NGOs anymore, but if we take the message serious that comes across from science, then we have to ask ourselves, are we still dramatic enough? And I think dramatic does not logically means unprecise, unobjective, or even exaggerated. It just means that if you say, for example, if we don't reach a 2-degree target, then large ecosystems like the Amazon will be gone, or you will have millions of refugees, climate refugees. Then this is, of course, a simple message that has dramatic implications and does not need to be exaggerated. So I think we have to be very careful with the language we are using. But on the other hand, I think the whole problem and also the social dimension of climate change especially is dramatically underestimated. And if you take, for example, what Chancellor Merkel here in Germany said some month ago, she said, well, if we take the 10 tons emission per capita of the German people and the 20 tons per capita emission of the United States and the 4 tons of China and the 1.4 tons of India, then we, one day or the other, we have to meet at a kind of 2-ton per capita level for everybody. So a kind of climate justice approach. And if you really draw the consequences of this easily spoken message, then this would mean a radical transformation of our not only ecological but our economical and social system as a whole. And I don't think that we have yet succeeded, neither the NGOs nor the media, to really bring this message across to a broader public.
Okay, let's take that one over to Walter Ammann. I don't know whether you would agree with that assessment. You are, in general, an expert in early warning, i.e. before we get to the stage where it is too late, preparedness with a view to preventing catastrophes. What do you expect? Do you agree that things are, as Stefan just said, and what do you think the media should be doing to get that message across? Do you have some favorites, some good examples of bringing it across, and perhaps also some areas where you see room for improvement?
Thank you very much, Irene. I was not known that Switzerland is already known for naked bodies on glaciers. I assume that we are known for chocolate, cheese, watches, and probably the bank secret eroding. coming back to your question, Irene, I think early warning, and in particular early warning, is an excellent example where the responsible institutions responsible for the early warning emission and the media are cooperating in a very good way together. If you do early warning, it means that you have to raise awareness within a very short period of time, within hours or probably within 1 day and not more, sometimes even within minutes. And this awareness raising, I think, could also be used for how we should try to get the awareness for other issues, like, for example, for the prevention and not just for the preparedness. One thing we also have to recognize is that early warning will not prevent a catastrophe. Early warning is just able to reduce losses, be it human lives or be it losses to livelihood, to infrastructures, buildings, and so on. Early warning has to be very precise, very short, so that it is understood by the public. And it doesn't serve anything if there is room for interpretation for the public. So the information really has to be very precise, very well understandable. It should be internationalized in the sense that the same message is not just valid within one country. It should also be valid if you cross the border, because many of these catastrophes also cross the borders. So there, I think, would be room for improvement, that many of these early warning issues should be put on an international level and not just on a national or even regional level. The only thing I realize, in particular for my country, for Switzerland, is that we have quite a heavy competition on a local and regional level within the media, leading to some kind of competition who is first in emitting an early warning. And that then, of course, leads to a situation where different messages are coming out. And the federal government is now discussing a law which is called the single voice, official voice regulation, that only one emitting institution is responsible for emitting early warning, and all the other medias have to take over this kind of message, just to prevent that room for interpretation is left.
Okay, thank you very much. Otvin Ren, your turn still, the last in this first round. We've talked a lot about the general public and how the media can get the message over to them. We also have to remember that the politicians and decision makers are also consumers of media. They also need to be informed. What role do you see as journalists, for the media there? Do you think Catastrophe Sells with the politicians? Or how do we raise their awareness of issues, for instance, of more positive issues like technologies to combat climate change, or the need for political action on environmental topics to avert catastrophe?